Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for waiting. I guess this is sort of a West Coast oriented timing. Busy day. Thank you for waiting. This is actual news. If you're joining me for the very first time, I report on actual news. I welcome if you add your voice to the conversation. So please feel welcome to comment, to ask questions, to even say something that perhaps you know and I don't. And I gladly correct myself and we add that to conversation. So today we're going to start with, of course, our video of the day. We're going to discuss whatever that was at Madison Square Garden. No, I'm not going to show you the video with the infamous joke. We've heard it, it's enough. But we're going to put it all into a context, right? Then we're going to talk about the campaigns, both campaigns. We're going to talk about the mostly Harris Walz campaign and what's happening, right? Also, what happened today at the White House. There were some celebrations. Also, President Biden voted. I voted too. And I hope you voted too, or you have a plan when you're going to vote. I voted in New York, so it's the first time that we all see and we discuss it that we have a line that you have to actually stand in line on a work day, middle of the day, waiting to cast your vote. So it just shows that people are very motivated. It started on Saturday. I couldn't even get anywhere near. We had almost like 200 people in line. Then it came later, so 500 people. So thankfully Monday came in and I could cast my vote. So I hope you have a plan. I invite your friends, family, help them get there, and main thing, cast your vote. Okay, so let's start with the video of the day, and this one is from a radio interview that Kamala Harris did. I'm going to tell you with whom and how, but take a look.
Vice President, first of all, before we get with this interview, I've got to ask you one question before I get into some things, as I saw your to-do list. But why do you want to be president of the United States?
You know, let me tell you, I love our country, and I believe in the promise of America, and I will work every day for all Americans to lift up opportunities and to make sure that we realize the promise in every way that is about strengthening American families, lowering the cost of living, and bringing our country together. Because frankly, you know, I think people are ready to turn the page on this last decade that has been influenced by Donald Trump, that has got folks and Americans pointing their fingers at each other. People are ready to come together knowing we all have so much more in common than what separates us. And I'm running for president to be able to accomplish all of that and move us toward a future where we continue to be driven by optimism.
And now do Trump. Ask him why he wants to be president. Because people complain that there are no tough questions. This is not a tough question. But ask him why he wants to be a president. I can guarantee that he's going to say, because there's this people, they're storming our borders. Hate, 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 hate. It will be just hate. I'm going to be president because I'm going to protect you from this fearful life and planet and everything. Why? Because there is no genuine intention. There is no plan. There is no thought even about all of us. There's just one thought, to be there and create the list of the enemies and start making their lives impossible. Period. End of story. And make some money by selling out our assets, secrets, assets, anything that sells. So if you don't want to turn our Oval Office into an eBay office, vote. Okay. So one day before her closing argument address in Washington, D.C., which will be tomorrow, we're going to have a watch party, and I'm going to feature the RSVP in your newsletter tonight. If you're not on the list yet, it's free. Get on board. If you support, thank you. honest.substack.com. Okay, you're going to get actual news and also the link to RSVP there. We're going to watch the address at the Ellipse in Washington, D.C. tomorrow. I was waiting on the timing, so it's between 7 and 9. So I'm going to schedule it at 7, and then I'm going to update you if it's later. And so she will have a remarkable address, one would say historic, because it's right there where former President Trump had his crowd all aggravated and all motivated to storm the Capitol on January 6th. So it will be right at the same spot with the White House and the backdrop. So a historic speech, as we are promised. And so I invite you to join our watch party tomorrow. Again, RSVP is in our subscribers list, because we want to protect everybody's safety and ensure that we have like-minded people who join us. Okay. Keith says, I watched the Shannon Sharpe interview she did there. Yes. And we're going to discuss it. Yeah. A lot of ads too. I agree, Keith. There was a lot of ad breaks. And it was first time that he had those ad breaks. Yeah. The people, I saw the comments, there were very negative comments, but a lot of comments about the ads too. So some news. Vice President Harris champions high-skilled jobs and workforce optimism today in Michigan. So VP Harris visited Corning Incorporated Hemlock Semiconductor Facility in Saginaw, Michigan, accompanied by Representative Kildee and Corning Chairman and CEO Wendell Weeks. While touring the facility, she took the opportunity to thank the workers directly. Quote, listen, I came by to thank you all. Harris began acknowledging the skills and dedication of the Hemlock workforce. Highlighting the advanced skills required for the jobs there, she remarked, it's good stuff, and the fact that it's right here and not very far from where you grew up and where you live. In a lighthearted moment, Harris joked that some of the Hemlock's jobs might be better than the White House positions, underscoring the rewarding nature of high-skilled work outside the conventional college path. She says, we need to get in front of this idea that high-skilled jobs require a college degree. It's just not true. And so the full readout and all the depiction of what happened there at the visit, as well as other stops today, will be in your newsletter. So again, get on board. But why does it matter? Because Biden-Harris administration did install the CHIPS Act, right? And so we're opening facilities also in Ohio, also in New York, upstate, where we are creating semiconductors, we're creating chips, so we don't have to buy them from Taiwan and depend on international partners. And so this is a big industry that became an industry thanks to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And so what she talks about in terms of degrees, she raised the question that we need to, well, the administration needs to evaluate, of course, with Congress's approval, as to which federal jobs and which jobs in general do need a degree and which require or which allow to prioritize rather your talent and expertise and experience rather than physical paper that you need to have in order to get the job, which certainly will benefit also those who immigrated. Because think about it, if somebody's English is not super, right? To get a degree, and also age plays a factor. Financial access has money access plays a factor. Even credit history. If somebody just immigrated, your credit history perhaps is just a zero because it hasn't even started counting yet unless you got your green card, right? So how can somebody get a job? That's why in order to get a high-skilled job, perhaps you are skilled, let's say at a certain age, that requirement for a degree does, of course, hinder somebody from getting that job. And so immigrants are getting the jobs that pretty much Americans don't really want, right? Let's call a thing a thing. So for this reason, this will be, and of course, helping also Americans to get better jobs and access to better pay, which is pretty good. So a tweet, Doug will be in DC. Yeah, all of them. Also, some guests that are not announced, so that's why Watch Party will be exciting. We're all going to see who's going to come up. Wonder if they will both vote tomorrow at the point. I think she voted by mail in California. I don't think they vote in DC. Neither did Biden. That's why he traveled to Delaware. Now, let's talk about Walz. So, Governor Walz spoke today at the Made in America event in Wisconsin. Let's take a look. This is the clip that I wanted to highlight because it depicts the nature of the campaign.
Kamala Harris and I have a plan to build the American industrial strength powered by American workers. Minnesotans know this, and you've seen it with the vice president. I promise you, when we win this election, we will have your backs just like you've had our back every step of the way. The defining arc of American economic story is people came here to Wisconsin from across the country, across the world, for a shot at a better future for their families. And in the process, they built the engine that built this country. Vice President Harris understands. She grew up in a middle-class family. She understands that manufacturing jobs are the ticket to the middle class, a ticket that doesn't require you go into debt with a college degree. And under her leadership, we're winning the race to make sure the future is made in America.
Made in America. And this is huge. You know, we used to laugh. I think it was like 2000-ish. We used to laugh in Europe, where we had this joke. I was studying, university, and we would joke that what are the 3 words that are used the most? And people would think, "I love you," right? And it's like made in China. Fun and games, but we kind of all gave all the jobs to China, right? And made China our factory. And so certainly they had the leverage. And at this point, it's important to build jobs market in America, but also build products in America. Now, it was very popularized how Muslim communities supported Trump at one of his rallies, because they were like having some weird freak show in terms of endorsement, like, oh, he got shot for us and all that kind of stuff. Now, this wasn't really publicized, was not discussed, but Muslim community, actual leaders who can put 2 sentences together, have endorsed Harris. Take a look.
Throughout my 22 years in county government, it's been Democrats that we've worked with. And we cannot forget that in this election. And when people say vote your conscience, I say vote strategically. The people that you see around this table here are some of the people you call when you have a challenge with government. And it's important that we have the right leadership in place to ensure that we can make those.
So Arab American leaders have endorsed Harris. Let's hear more about it. My hope never dies, but mainstream media kind of sleeps on those endorsements. Now let's talk about First Lady Jill Biden, together with Mrs. Walz, Gwen Walz. They united together today in Michigan. So they had a campaign tour. So First Lady Jill Biden and Gwen Walz energized Democratic supporters with impassioned speeches in Traverse City and Bay City in Michigan. With the general election approaching, the 2 advocated for the Harris-Walz ticket, stressing the stakes around the reproductive rights, economic relief, and a united response to MAGA extremism. And listen, for those 2 ladies, teachers, educators, to call it a thing, to say MAGA extremism, it's a big step. It's not the language they usually use. So in Traverse City, Jill Biden and Walz highlighted the choice facing Michigan voters, emphasizing the impact of their vote on issues like affordable health care, Social Security, and reproductive freedom. We have to work harder than ever, as if democracy is on the line, because it is, Dr. Biden urged the crowd, drawing cheers from local Democrats, including Chasten Buttigieg and Traverse City Mayor Amy Shamrow. Later that day in Bay City, Dr. Biden and Gwen Walz brought the focus to abortion access and economic concerns, with Dr. Biden noting, quote, abortion bans are in effect in more than 20 states across the country. No one has to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree that the government shouldn't be telling women what to do. In the Bay City, venue hosted around 115 attendees, including local leaders like State Senator McDonald Rivette and Bay County Democratic Party Vice Chair Barbara Hanley Miller, who reflected on how attitudes toward reproductive rights have evolved in the heavily Catholic Bay County. So again, the full description and readout is in your email, so you can, we call it color, right? We add a bit of how people reacted to the speeches, what questions did they ask, and whatnot. So it's engaging. Again, this will be more in the latter because I want to be respectful of your time right now. Now, on Treasury, two big announcements today. One that we saw coming is very much connected to AI and very much connected to China and very much connected to Elon Musk. But first, let's talk about U.S. Treasury released updated borrowing estimates for fourth quarter 2024 and first quarter 2025. So, U.S. Department of Treasury has announced its revised estimates for privately held net marketable borrowing for October-December 2024 and January through March 2025 quarters. So here are the key points to update. So October to December 24, Treasury expects to borrow $546 billion in privately held net marketable debt with a targeted end of quarter cash balance of $700 billion. This borrowing estimate reflects a $19 billion decrease from July 2024 estimate, mainly due to higher starting cash balance, which was partially offset by lower net cash flows. Now, good news. Pretty much. January through March 25, Treasury projects borrowing $823 billion in privately held net marketable debt, assuming an end of March cash balance of $850 billion. And so then they pretty much expect to stay the same and even through the end of the next year. So it's pretty much, it shows what? It shows stability yeah, pretty much healthy economic market, right? Now, in terms of AI, now this is an interesting thing. They don't mention Elon Musk, but it's very much connected to it. So, U.S. Treasury finalized a rule restricting investments in national security technologies in countries of concern. Let's read it again. U.S. Treasury finalized rules restricting investments in national security technologies in countries of concern. Let me catch you up. AI is booming, right? AI requires a lot of energy, right? A lot of electricity and a lot of space, right? Because AI works 24/7. Usually AI is more activated during nighttime because it literally does the research, and I just listened to the whole lecture about it. Anyway, it's very much needy in terms of electricity and space. So it is outsourced overseas. What Elon Musk is doing, he's building a big AI hub, allegedly for Tesla research, but for which he uses whatever information he gets through this voter thing in Pennsylvania. Also, any Tesla that somebody's driving, it has several cameras that are constantly recording inside the car and outside the car. So all that data, together with every kind of data he gets, is going to China to be worked on in this hub. Now, any company that does exist in China has to be controlled 51% by Chinese government. So certainly, if our data goes overseas to countries of concern, China, Russia, Iran, that means we are exposed, right? And all you did, you just bought a Tesla and you're just driving it and you are happy that it updates somehow online through Wi-Fi, right? But for that reason, to advance Tesla, of course, they need to activate the cameras inside the car, outside the car. Now, all that data, you are not knowing where it's going, right? But it goes there where it will be worked on for this new system, right? The new software update for Tesla. But little we know, is being worked on actually in China. And then what do we know? What else is that our data is actually used for? So the Biden-Harris administration has taken a significant step to protect national security by finalizing regulations that restrict U.S. investments in sensitive technologies in countries of concern, specifically targeting China. The action seeks to prevent these countries from leveraging U.S. investments to accelerate their capabilities in critical technologies that could threaten U.S. national security. Today, the U.S. Department of Treasury issued a final rule implementing President Biden's executive order signed in August of 2023 titled Addressing United States Investment in Certain National Security Technologies and Products in Countries of Concern. So, Key highlights of this rule now include: first, prohibited transactions. U.S. persons are barred from certain transactions involving a specific set of technologies deemed particularly sensitive, given their potential to enhance military capabilities in countries of concern. Which is, think about it. Let's use the Tesla car as an example since we started. It does record a road, right? Because what they officially are working on is on producing a self-driving car. For that, you need to study how people are driving. You're recording the environment. You're recording people's reaction inside the car. You're recording the pathways and roads and everything. All for good, with a good thought in mind, right? One would hope. But if you think about it, that's the data. If somebody gets this data from entire United States, that's a huge problem, which can be certainly used to advance somebody's technology. If they were to, do something to us, they know every single part of the road. So then national requirements, notification requirements. U.S. persons must inform the Department of Treasury about other transactions involving specific technologies that could pose a security risk to the United States. So before you invest anything, you pretty much have to get approval from U.S. Treasury. And third, covered technologies. The restricted technologies are classified into 3 categories: semiconductors and microelectronics, quantum information technologies, and artificial intelligence. These technologies are integral to advancing next-generation military, cybersecurity, surveillance, and intelligence capabilities. This regulation complements existing U.S. export control measures and inbound investment screenings to ensure that sensitive technologies and products are not used to strengthen military advancements in countries of concern. So pretty much you can't from now on, you can't outsource your AI factory or plant, whatever you call it, overseas, because it's cheaper and because you can overstep human rights, overstep the rights of workers and whatnot. So big concern, and that's the first questions that came from media were about Elon Musk. Are you thinking about his companies when you're with this in mind, right? Because Starlink and Tesla, it literally describes everything here. And they're like, well, blah, blah, blah. No, but blah, blah, blah. So kind of no, but not no, and not yes type of thing, a diplomatic answer. But certainly a good timing for this. There were news stories about doorbell cameras and robotic vacuums being viewed by contractors' employees to improve the algorithm in years past. Privacy doesn't exist in general. Live search app. Thank you. Yeah, and it's like, to your point, we think about my first example and thought was, okay, Tesla cars, Starlink, whatever, computers, AI, right? But exactly to your point, vacuum cleaners, the one that is cleaning it all yourself, it has to update its software. And what does it do? It learns your apartment, right? And learns your behavior to an algorithm. Yeah. And doorbell cameras, that's, of course. Keith says Elon is going to end up in prison. He keeps pushing the boundaries and he's immature to approach. He will cross the line at some point. Let's see. I don't wish anybody to end up in prison, but everybody is doing their own, right? They're creating the circumstances for themselves. I think the Muslims and Latinos should take back their endorsement after yesterday. Yeah, you're talking about the MSG hate rally? Yeah. Oh, that was crazy. The Cambridge Analytica scandal was an eye-opener back in 2018 too. Absolutely. And this is also how Russia, I have a readout today, how they influenced Georgia elections. They influenced British elections today, Great Britain. I'm going to have a readout on that. They now sanctioned Russian information companies that are affecting their elections when it comes to parliament. So, and that's how easy it became, because all you need is pretty much one system that is fed by the data from all types of countries. And it's translated automatically. And pretty much you want to put a propaganda message, you can put it out in a matter of seconds in all the languages and all types of styles that fit the purpose, right? That's the scary part. And if you're gathering all the data as to how people want to consume information, where they are, what do they do, when and how, and right to reach them, that makes it like propaganda on steroids in a matter of seconds. It's pretty much held the news cycle on all networks for the past 24 hours. MSG rally, yeah, because they really don't want to talk about the journalist who was executed in Iran, same time as MSG rally happens. We're going to talk about it now. President Biden had a chit chat before he left JBA, which is Joint Base Andrews. He talked about China, he talked about Iran, he talked about that Puerto Rico comment, which I will add to when we discuss it. But it was an informal press gaggle. So President Biden addressed reporters' questions on a range of issues. He opened the gaggle on a humorous note, saying, quote, I assume you want to talk about Elon Musk being here illegally? That's the dark Brandon. Before adding, I'm only joking. What do you got? You know, but he did say that. When asked about his male supporters who are hesitant to back VP Harris, Biden said they're making a mistake, in my humble opinion. Certainly. The conversation shifted to the recent strike on Iranian targets, with Biden providing context on his delayed arrival, explaining the reason we're a little late. I was on with the intelligence community for the last half hour, and it looks like they didn't hit anything other than military targets. My hope is this is the end. Then Iranian Hamaleh, right? Hamaleh, whatever, leader yesterday put a tweet with pretty much threatening Israel to strike them back and to make their life hell and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. We'll see. Reporters then raised concerns about reports of Chinese hacking efforts targeting Trump and Harris campaigns. Biden said, I'm getting that brief when I get back as to what they did, how much they hacked, and so on. When pressed on whether verified interference would lead to consequences for Beijing, he said, we'll have to talk about it. Then Biden confirmed that Israel had informed him ahead of their recent strike on Iranian targets. And when asked about Trump's frequent communications with Netanyahu, which has been confirmed that they're in daily communication with each other, Biden said the criticism is Trump is talking with Bibi, but Trump talks to Bibi and his good multi-billionaire friend a lot too. So I guess they're all three friends. My question is, who is that third billionaire friend? Is that Musk? I mean, tell me what do you think? Then asked whether he was concerned that Trump was conducting unofficial diplomacy. Biden acknowledged yes, but then added, but I'm not surprised. Now, where is the system that we can rely on? I do understand, people are commenting how about Logan Act. Logan Act applies if unofficially somebody wants to represent the United States with an official of a country with whom we are at war. Certainly, we're not at war with Israel. For that reason, Logan Act is not applying. But where is Department of Justice? How come Moscow is talking to Putin on a daily and Putin tells him when to switch on and off Starlinks? And we saw it in Taiwan. We saw it in Ukraine. We saw it now in Russia. It's turned on. Other cases was turned off, which led to Ukrainians dying. How come Trump, who is nobody in the government, same as Musk is nobody in the government, same Trump right now, and hopefully forever, how come he is talking to Netanyahu on a daily, advising him in terms of wars? Netanyahu, who is about to be prosecuted for corruption charges in December. And for that, he needs to extend the stance of war in Israel so he can postpone his cases. So you see the copy-paste situation was Trump. So for that reason, where is DOJ? I mean, Biden doesn't want to do anything. Well, he has the immunity. He can do certainly something, but he decides not to. He doesn't want to intervene, which speaks to his character. Now, okay, but where is the system? Where is an investigation? I understand Trump is, Elon is now being investigated in North Carolina for whatever. But okay, that's local case, fine. But those two matters. How can this be okay? 10 a.m. East Mar-a-Lago. Puerto Rican GOP mayor threatening to remove his endorsement. Trump doesn't personally apologize. Yes, I received the invitation to cover Trump's sudden announcement at 10 a.m. at Mar-a-Lago tomorrow. I don't know what it is about. I tried to send somebody there. People like, So we'll see. No way Trump apologized. No, he's not apologizing. No. Now, Biden's remarks underscored his disapproval of Trump's rhetoric and his commitment to diplomacy amid a time of international tension. Now, in the evening, President Biden hosted the celebration of Diwali at the White House, emphasizing unity and American diversity. He apologized that First Lady Dr. Biden couldn't be there because she is with Gwen Walz, as I told you, campaigning for Harris. And so President Biden hosted the vibrant celebration, highlighting the contribution of Indian Americans and reaffirming the administration's commitment to diversity and inclusion. Opening remarks, he noted the absence of Jill Biden and explained that she was traveling. In a warm acknowledgement of Harris, Biden praised his vice president's experience and integrity. Quote, I selected Kamala to be my running mate for many reasons. She's smart, she's tough, she's trusted. There's more experience that she has than the whole of that other guy she's running against. But most importantly, she has character. Unquote. Biden shared that he and Harris connected over the values instilled by their mothers, underlining how shared values have been pivotal in their partnership. Addressing the audience, Biden underscored the challenges facing the nation and the ongoing importance of democracy. Quote, American democracy has never been easy. In a country as diverse as ours, we debate, we dissent, but the key is we never lose sight of how we got there and why, unquote. He called this a critical inflection point in America's journey, a time for reflection and commitment to the democratic ideals that bind the nation together. And so, how do we know that we are approaching election in Washington, D.C.? This how. Today, there was a drill, well, 12 drills to be exact, around Capitol Hill, around all types of federal buildings in Washington, D.C. You will see now a part where 12 helicopters took part in tonight's exercise near or at the Capitol, and also the fence is being put up to, I guess, prevent another January 6th, or in case something does happen on election night. Now, Trump, I got an invitation, I don't know, don't ask me why, but to his election party, watch party in Mar-a-Lago on November 5th. So he's not in Washington, he's not in New York City, hallelujah, mazel tov. He is in Mar-a-Lago. So for that reason, no panic on Titanic. But here's the drill. This video was from Andrew Layden. Thank you so much for the video. Now, as to whether they do it for tomorrow's speech with Harris, it depends. If the rumor comes true that Taylor Swift is there, maybe. Let's see. I'm not saying she will be there. I'm just saying it's a rumor. Same as, look, Beyonce was at DNC, was a big rumor. And then she spoke, did not perform, but spoke very well. And I really admire what she did at the rally. So let's see. When something happens, it happens. Let's not get too much into the details that are outside of our control, but also do not really matter. You know, Harris is running to win the presidency. She will, in my humble opinion, I see that all leads to that she will win. But we'll see. If she doesn't, then we regroup. but certainly does not depend whether somebody's attending a rally or speech or whatever. Let's keep our head on a swivel. Now, President Biden cast his ballot today in Delaware. And you just mentioned, Keith, that Biden's character is admirable. Now, he came in, he waited in line, he didn't step forward. He saw a lady in the wheelchair. He shook hands with her, hugged her, and then he helped her to get in there. So take a look. That's him in line. Cute, very nice. Also, talking about ballots, we all have heard, well, hopefully, in Vancouver, Washington State, the people burned ballot boxes. I just saw that they released pictures of the car that has been certainly responsible for that. So take a look. Freaking insane. What a disgrace. What a disgrace. I mean, in the state of Washington, I guess it's very democratic, but hundreds of ballots in this thing alone were damaged. And I guess you have to track with whether your voice heads count. I don't know. To see whether you have to fill it out again. That's crazy. It's very crazy. I was shocked to watch the whole thing, seeing Biden just standing in line. I know. Can you imagine going to vote and the president standing in line with you? Yeah. Was a ballot box there happened in Arizona? Yes, Arizona too. And so I also have heard in Philadelphia. Is it true? Or are we making up stuff? But certainly that's really crazy. With Biden, listen, I was in his pool and then he decided in the middle of New York to stop at Uniqlo because he saw there was pants on discount and closed all the streets. So Biden is cute. He's cute. He also likes the stores with pre-loved stuff. So he would like go in and try out things. So it's very human, very human. Now, speaking of dumpster fires, let's talk about the Madison Square Garden hate rally. Real quick and real proper. So before that, I can tell you one thing. Listen, I understand Madison Square Garden is in New York and Manhattan. No New Yorker was in that goddamn Madison Square Garden. Tonight, the Knicks are playing. That's where New Yorkers are. I spoke to a bunch of New Yorkers. People were out of town. People were sitting in the apartment, not leaving. Same here. People were literally not even watching on television. They're like, oh, we need to like clean the city before I even go there. Nobody will go there. So it's also Midtown. People are not going there voluntarily anyway. So there were no New Yorkers. Let's put it this way. Whatever that lady was who said like, New York is Trump country. Sit your behind and take several seats. Now, just to paint the craziness outside Madison Square Garden, there was this impersonator of Kim Jong-un who ended up on this MAGAville channels.
Thank you for coming out for President Trump. My gosh, the leader of North Korea.
Yes, that's right.
What are your thoughts on today, my friend, regarding President Trump?
I'm endorsing Donald Trump as Supreme Leader of the United States.
We have this.
What the hell? Now then there was this infamous joke about Puerto Rico, which is not a joke. It's complete insult, disgraceful, disgusting, wannabe comedian. I'm not sure what got him to be chosen. My guess is those tweets. Take a look. That's this guy in 2011. Anyone want to go halfsies on the slave? That's that Tony guy. Allegedly a comedian of Italian heritage who was doing this crap about talking about Puerto Rico being, what is a trash island and Hispanics making babies and and African Americans carving watermelons and all that. That's him in 2012. 9/11 was the first time Black employees were rewarded for being late to work. Also, it was reported that Trump or his campaign went through all the speeches. They read through all the speeches. They took out the joke, but he would, where this Tony guy was calling Kamala Harris a cunt, which is Elon today picked up and made an ad out of it, and I'll show it to you in due time. Disgusting. I don't want to show you this guy. He's not a comedian. He's a fool. It's garbage. Now, J.D. Vance, very close to being vice president and possibly president with the dementia that Trump shows. He pivoted and said, oh, he had never heard the joke. He spoke at this goddamn event. Take a look.
Now, I've heard about the joke. I haven't actually seen the joke that you mentioned, but I think that it's telling that Kamala Harris's closing message is essentially that all of Donald Trump's voters are Nazis and you should get really pissed off about a comedian telling a joke. That is not the message of a winning campaign. And most importantly, it's not the message of a person who's fit to be the president of the United States of America.
I ended it early. I couldn't stand this. I would have encouraged he stay in line while I drove my ballot Dropbox, Maurice. Yeah. That's good. Van suggested him on the podcast. Joe Rogan loved this bros. Yeah, and Joe Rogan is together with this Lex Friedman, who's a Russian agent, very much listed on FSB website. So, yeah, it's one thing. He fits in when they're bigoted and racist worldview. That's why he was chosen. Exactly. Their voices alone. Yeah. So I'm going to quit those videos pretty fast just to paint a picture. So barely walking guy, Hulk Hogan was there, spitting around. Take a look.
When I hear Kamala speak, it sounds like a script from Hollywood with a really, really bad actress.
Speaking of crazy, this guy put up some tweets. Well, actually, Bill Madden said he was quoting Stephen Miller, who spoke, right? The guy who would put kids into the cages at the border. So he says, America is for Americans and Americans only. And then Hitler said in 1934, Germany is for Germans and Germans only. Now, Stephen Miller, he started saying, I'm a Jew. As a Jew, your odious slanders are grave insult to my Jewish brothers and sisters. Woo! He was quoting you. And then he quoted Hitler. Freedom of speech. We all love the amendments. Vote. Don't let them near DC. Just don't. Please. Honestly, like, I was so happy. I posted the video that Connie Chung, who was the news anchor, the first woman news anchor, first Asian news anchor on ABC and CBS and Evening News, she said, look, when I covered the news, I had to stay neutral, but even if I were to do it today, I have to tell you, it's very important. It's not an average election. And this is somebody who has been covering elections since like 1950s. So it's not an average election. You can stay neutral. And if you're reporting actual and truthful and factual news, you have to say that our democracy is on the line. And if you're up for a roller coaster, please do your thing. But trust me that this polls and all that kind of stuff does not represent the truthful situation. Now, if in 1 week, almost a week from now, we will hear that somehow Trump won by landslide, okay, we'll pivot, we'll survive. We'll survive. We'll do our best. But let's hope not to end there. Not just hope, let's make sure we don't end there. This folks were there at the Madison Square Garden yesterday. It's an actual picture. It's not even AI. Now, but all this crap led to endorsements, which is a good thing. J-Lo, 250 million followers on Instagram alone. posted Kamala Harris's plan for Puerto Rico. Bad Bunny, same thing. Ricky Martin, same thing. Also, Ariana Grande. Listen, if Hollywood, all they wanted is to a comedian to touch upon or for racism to knock on their door, and really we had to mention Puerto Rico to endorse, great. In my opinion, it was enough before, but whatever it takes. Now, continuing with this weak man, I call it weak man extravaganza. It's not a hate rally, it's a weak man extravaganza. Continuing with weak man, Tucker Carlson.
At the moment, it's going to be pretty tough for them 10 days from now to look in the eye to America with a straight face. It's going to be pretty hard to look at us and say, you know what, Kamala Harris, she got 85 million votes because she's just so impressive. As the first Samoan Malaysian.
Shut up. Shut up, Tucker. Shut up. How's the Russian money? Not depositing? Because you couldn't. Tucker is so bad that he could not even satisfy Vladimir Putin with his interview while sitting in front of Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin gave him a bad review. He said, I thought he would be tough on me, but he was just saying yes, yes, and I got very bored. And that's why I started talking about history nonstop, because it was so boring. Vladimir Putin, you couldn't satisfy him while seated in front of him at the Kremlin? How bad do you have to be? You're so yes man that you can't even ask questions that are interesting even for dictators' ego. Okay, another weird video. Look.
Galvanized around a bunch of people called MAGA. The MAGA people! The MAGAs! That's right, I'm MAGA!
Tucker probably can't even please his wife or husband. Who knows? Who knows? All of them look like it's a weak man gala. And now the cherry on the top. And check his mouth. It's kind of like going south. Elon Musk.
Make the margin of victory so big that you know what can't happen.
What's with them and sizes? And Elon, less on whatever you take because it's accelerating. Now, Trump also talked about that thing that should not happen, referring to secrets he has with Johnson.
And I think with our little secret, we're going to do really well with the House, right? Our little secret is having a big impact. He and I have a secret. We'll tell you what it is when the race is over.
To quote President Biden,
Donald Trump is a loser. He's a loser as a candidate. And more importantly, in my view, and I'm just going to say it straight up, he's a loser as a man. He's a loser as a man.
Thank you, Joe. Now, Trump doesn't like the fascism, right? So the campaign has printed new signs to put on the loan, to put on the forehead, tattoo, whatever. Check out the logo that they're using on their signs. And you got the point? Yeah, with the T, with the swastika. And this sign is printed, if you go and look at it, it's paid for and by Trump Save America Joint Fundraising Committee, a joint fundraising committee composed of and authorized by authorized by Donald J. Trump for President 2024 Incorporated and Save America DonaldJTrump.com. That's the signs that they're printing. Okay. Now, do you prefer that, or you prefer somebody who spent the day hugging kids, making them happy? This dude was just crying, now he's laughing, making folks happy of all ages, forms, and backgrounds. You decide. I already did. I voted. And I didn't get a sticker, goddammit. I got a pan. We get pans, and it's like you can like use it on screens because it has the thingy, and then you can use it as a pan. I didn't get a sticker, but I got a pan anyway. Now, VP Harris commented on the weak man extravaganza while leaving Joint Base Andrews. It's pretty good. Take a look.
Donald Trump this is not new about him, by the way. What he did last night is not a discovery. It is just more of the same and maybe more vivid than usual. Donald Trump spends full time trying to have Americans point their finger at each other. Fans the fuel of hate and division. And that's why people are exhausted with him. That's why people who formerly have supported Donald Trump, have voted for him, are supporting me, voting for me. People are literally ready to turn the page. They're tired of it. In terms of Puerto Rico, even when I was in the United States Senate, knowing that Puerto Rico does not have a United States Senator, I was intentional about doing what I could as a United States Senator to make sure that among my priorities, it included paying attention to the needs of the people on that island, including the aftermath of Hurricane Maria. I have announced also my plan that is about my opportunity economy writ large, but a specific target that will include a task force focused on the needs of Puerto Rico, understanding that it has very specific needs in terms of upgrading and repairing its electrical grid, what it needs in terms of investment that will be public-private partnerships. And I'm going to continue to do it. I'm very proud to have the support of folks like Bad Bunny and Jennifer Lopez and others who were supporting me before that nonsense last night at Madison Square Garden, and are supporting me because they understand that they want a president of the United States who's about uplifting the people and not berating, not calling America a garbage can, which is what Donald Trump, those are the words he has used. So there you go. I'll see you later.
President Biden responded to that. He said, look, Trump has no class at all. Zero. None. He continued, all kidding aside, if this wasn't a political campaign, how would you characterize the man in terms of his manners, his decency? I mean, it's beneath a president. And that's put nicely. Taste of Freedom, thank you for commenting, says, what's Merrick Garland doing? They released today, I posted it on Twitter shitter, that DOJ and Garland prosecuting a guy, fifth guy. They put him for 7 years in jail. It's Marines and the KKK folks, neo-Nazis united together to attack our electric grid between 2017 and 2020. And so they put him in jail for 7 years. That's what was announced. So maybe they will do whatever is happening now. They'll prosecute it in 2035. What do we know? I guess. Guarantee in private, she says, I wish he would just have off. Totally. Yeah. I mean, don't we say that in private? I mean, I say it in public. So, Elon propaganda. He shared a video today. I'll share just a little bit of it. I don't share it on socials. I just want to show you what it kind of is, so you kind of see the stupidity behind it. And then I'm going to tell you another story connected to it.
This election, I think, is going to decide the fate of America and the fate of Western civilization.
Anyway, it continues like this, and there's Trump AI things. He turns into a lion. He turns into Goliath, whatever. Anyway, so you saw a little girl in the beginning. Take a look again. A young girl. This one. This girl is very popular. She's an opera singer. She's 16 years old. She's from Europe. She has her own concerts, for you to imagine, with 100,000 people seated. She's playing with Andrea Rio, right? Just a very popular, like, let's say Taylor Swift, but in opera, like classic music. So she posted on Twitter today the following. She says, a video in which I briefly appear has been posted by Musk without my knowledge or consent. As I'm only 16 and not involved in American politics, I want to clarify that I distance myself from this clip and its message. To which MAGAville harassed her with vile movements, with threats, comments, with threats, with just disgusting content. And I hope she at least restricts this platform, and I hope it's not her who posted it so she doesn't have to see it. They're like, you know, you're now famous, shut up, like all that kind of nonsense. Speaking of Elon and being disgusting, he also has a new ad that appeals probably to some high schoolers. Kamala Harris is a C word. You know what, Elon? See you next Tuesday, Election Day. See you then, honey. See who's the C word then. But here's a video of how he manipulates Twitter, and how, you know how sometimes you try to like something and it somehow doesn't go through. Do I have this video or did I lose it? Oh, I have it. Take a look. See, so you try to like it, it's like, oh, sorry, that action is not possible, you know. And this is with the Vatnik Soup. If you don't follow Vatnik Soup, please do. He's doing such a great job. And this was one exposing Elon and his, that was the picture with the Russian oligarch's wife. So really, really interesting. And I had to go 3 times and like your comments. You know, I posted a video with Connie Chung that she's endorsing Kamala Harris. And this sort of got like 100,000 or whatever views quickly. And so MAGAville started, you know, and I tried to like hide their comments, ban them, block them. Took me an hour. And they go back, they're back. Like, I just blocked you. How the hell you're back? You know? So for that reason, just check whether you follow those who you want to follow. Pecca's threats now. It's been ever since that. Yeah. Yeah, I currently don't even know if any of my posts are being seen for the past 2-3 days. Let me know. Comment on Taste of Freedom. Is it the same on the X? Yeah, you are on X, right? Let's see. I'll follow you and we'll see. Yes, that threat. That's where Elmo started. Yeah, with the Pekka Kalionen. Yes, yes, he's great, fantastic. Such a good. Good work. I hope the singer has good lawyers. I hope so too. Yeah, threatening a child. How on brand. Exactly, right? It's an awful ad in every way. The fact that he thinks he wins votes is crazy. Exactly. Exactly. The heck. Yes. Yes. Okay. Now, let's talk about Kamala Harris on Shay Shay. Club Shay Shay. Shannon Sharp, former NFL and now the commentator on ESPN, and yeah, and very famous on Instagram and infamous on Instagram. Let's not talk about it. But there was a very, I think, pretty good interview with Kamala Harris. First, he always drinks with the guests. So he did like cheers, and she said, I'm not going to drink. I have a thing with Obama, otherwise I fall asleep. So, but it was warm reception, and he thanked her for everything she does. The comments are very negative. I applaud him for leaving up the comment section on YouTube, but it's all like, get Trump back, word salad, blah, blah, you know, that's the nicest thing. So for that reason, let's not focus on that. And a lot of ads too. But here's one human question. How does how do the days, Kamala Harris's days look like on campaign trail? What does she eat for breakfast? So take a look.
What time are you getting up? And what's some of the activities that you do in a given day?
I'm having, I'd probably estimate 14-hour, 15-hour days.
Okay.
When I wake up, no matter how little sleep or how much sleep I've had, I work out every morning.
Okay. Okay.
You know, because it's like mind, body, and spirit, right? And then, you know, and that's the only time of my day I really own. And then it is, these days, it's not unusual for me to be in 3 or even 4 cities in one day. Rallies with thousands of people, 10,000 people showing up. Making calls to folks. Just now I landed in Atlanta, the mayor of Atlanta, who greets me every single time. So I'll talk with elected leaders who are supportive about, so for example, here in Atlanta, what do we need to do to make sure that we're giving folks the resources to knock on doors and remind folks of the power of their voice? And 12 days in, it really is a lot about trying to focus on getting folks to know their power, to not let anybody suppress or silence their voice, and to vote.
Right. So breakfast, what does Madam VP eat for breakfast, or do you have time to, or is it on the go?
No, when I was younger, I didn't think I needed breakfast. I wasn't a breakfast eater.
Okay.
Now I have breakfast every morning. It's usually a spinach omelet. It's not very exciting.
Right.
But it's protein with a little vegetable. And, I like chicken, apple sausage, and some toast. And
Yeah, Harris is the only grown up. Exactly. Elon has been eliminating tweets. Yeah, that's true. I actually tried, Daniel, to click to like your comment, and it took me 3 times for that like to register. I share all your posts and then go back, no longer share. Thank you, Callie. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. And this is a mess. For that reason, I need to put that voting thing into our newsletter as to where are we going next, because I think after the election, she's going to go nuts on this Twitter. Threads, I'm trying. I really don't get people there. Don't get any traction there, but let's try. Let's see. I really wish the campaign would let her do this more in the traditional media interviews. She's very good off script when she's comfortable. Exactly, because how can you be comfortable if somebody is talking over you, harassing you with this blah, disgusting, really disgusting. And all they feel like they have to be strong with her and kind of scream over to show something like they're impartial. What are you talking about? I mean, you can't be friendly without being a yes person. I mean, where were you raised, right? In order to be a person of dignity, I have to not scream at everybody. How weak are you? Where were you raised, honey bunny? Okay. So here's a funny thing when he said, "Oh, you're older than me," right? And then they speak about her favorite music.
Madam VP, you're a couple of years older than myself, so we kind of grew up in the 80s. But I'm only 35.
Come on now, I'm your guest.
No, but you only 30. But we grew up.
But just keep moving, because I'm gonna give you a shovel in a minute.
I see. You won't let it go. Dang. We could have just moved on past that real quick, but you drew attention to it. But we grew up in the 70s with music.
Yes.
Wind and Fire, Ohio Players.
Oh yes, Fire. Come on.
Oh, you were like Fire.
Come on.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun,
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yes. What do you listen to now?
Oh, I wish I were listening to more music, to be honest with you, because I love it. Just, but
you don't have downtime, like when you have downtime.
I don't have any downtime really. I know my little violin I'm playing right now with you. I really don't. But when I love jazz. Mm-hmm. If it's from Thelonious Monk to Miles Davis. Mm-hmm. I love Aretha. I was just with Stevie.
Right.
Stevie's, can I tell you?
Yes, you can.
Bucket list. Stevie Wonder on my birthday sang me happy birthday.
That is a bucket list. And then she talked about Trump.
Madam VP, whether we want to admit it or not, he's revered by some blacks.
But here's the thing. The question for everybody, should he be president of the United States?
Okay.
Right? That's the question. Should he have the ability to sit behind the seal of the President of the United States when he says he wants to terminate the Constitution of the United States? You know what that would mean? In the Constitution of the United States is your 4th Amendment right against unreasonable search and seizure, your 5th Amendment right, your 6th Amendment right to an attorney.
Well, a lot of rights going to be gone. The First Amendment.
But the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. Yes. Look, I'm in favor of the Second Amendment. I don't believe we should be taking anybody's guns away. He wants to terminate the Constitution of the United States. He is the same one, like I said earlier, who denied rent to black families who took out that full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of those children, who birtherism accusations against the first black president. Not to mention please ask folks to Google Project 2025.
Yeah.
He would get rid of the $35 a month cap on insulin. We know how many of our seniors had it. I'll give you another example of why Donald Trump has not earned the support of folks to be president of the United States again. When he was president the last time, during the height of COVID, 1 in 3 black Americans knew somebody who died from COVID. You remember those days?
I do.
And people couldn't get their hands on a COVID test? At that very same time, Donald Trump as president secretly sent COVID tests to the president of Russia for his personal use. While Americans were dying every day, he has not earned the right to be president of the United States. It's one thing if he has a television show that's very popular. He can put his name on a building, even though we all know he was not a terribly good businessman, which is why he filed for bankruptcy 6 times. But that is one thing. To be president of the United States means to try and find common ground.
Yeah. So you have an adult and you have a crazy baby, like a baby boss, and you have an adult. And you have the United States of America. And you choose who's going to lead it. Your turn. One thing that happened literally at the time of that rally. So Iranian German journalist, a permanent resident of the United States from 2003, Sharmad had been targeted by the Iranian government for his connections to Tondar, an Iranian opposition movement. Since his arrest by Iranian agents in 2020, Sharmad was held in solitary confinement by Iran in a forced disappearance. In a 2023 trial condemned by Amnesty International, the German Minister for Foreign Affairs, and the European Council, Sharmad was sentenced to death. Sharmad was held in a solitary confinement until his execution that happened yesterday. German-Iranian dual national Jamshid Sharmad was executed in Iran on charges of corruption and on Earth. Corruption on Earth, linked to a 2008 terror attack. Rights group Amnesty International said that his confessions were forced. His daughter appeared on many shows on television, whether it is Fox News, whether it's CNN. She was asking not to be picky as to whom to free from those who are unjustly detained. But yeah, unfortunately, that's what happened. On another note, Secretary of State Blinken and Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin will co-host a Republic of Korea Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of Defense from South Korea in Washington, D.C. on October 31st for the 6th U.S. Republic of Korea Foreign Defense Ministerial Meeting. They call it infamously 2+2. Famously 2+2. The 2+2 meeting will build on the commitments made during ROK President Yoon Suk Yeol's official visit to United States in April 2023 and the historic August 2023 Trilateral Leaders Summit. Secretary Blinken and Secretary Austin look forward to strengthening our cooperation on full range of global and regional issues. Now, there are kind of want to, but then I don't want to report on military bases. With all this talk about securing the Indo-Pacific, engage China were to do something, but also to give China a hint that they shouldn't be doing anything. U.S. is building several military bases on islands. And certainly that is what is connected to. Seoul is now also offering help in terms of long-range missiles, in terms of intelligence, in terms of preparation to Ukraine to fight North Koreans who are in Ukraine, and certainly, I guess, certainly they have a lot to discuss. Now, finally, I've been reporting that for over a week, and I showed you videos, bunch of videos of North Koreans in Ukraine. Now, finally, NATO said that yes, indeed, they are in Ukraine. Take a look.
Today, I can confirm that North Korean troops have been sent to Russia and that North Korean military units have been deployed to the Kursk region. The deployment of North Korean troops represents, one, a significant escalation in the DPRK's ongoing involvement in Russia's illegal war. Two, yet another breach of UN Security Council resolutions. And three, a dangerous expansion of Russia's war. NATO calls on Russia and the DPRK to cease these actions immediately.
And then what? You think because you called on Russia and DPRK, with all due respect, Mark Rutte, with all due respect, you've been Prime Minister of Netherlands, I lived in Netherlands, with all due respect, next, what? What are you going to do? President Biden was asked about it, what they're going to do. He said, we need to see what the Koreans will do first. We have a lot of things, a lot of tools in our toolkit in terms of response, but we need to see what they're doing first. What? So you have a murderer in front of your building. Like, what are you going to do? Well, I have a lot of tools, I have this and I have that, I have this. Well, I want to see what he was going to do first. Well, he's in front of your goddamn door. What do you think he's going to do? Have a sightseeing tour? Or bring you a cake? Or a pie? Or watch some television and some popcorn with you? What is North Korea going to do? 12,000 people entering Ukrainian border, reporting today the first death of North Koreans. What do you think they gonna do? Explore Ukraine? Create a YouTube channel? When Ukraine was effing up, completely effing up, when Kamala Harris traveled to Ukraine and warned Ukraine that you're about to be invaded, you're about to be bombed, right, left, up, down, and center from Russia, by Russia. Zelensky was recording videos saying, oh, don't worry, soon we'll start the picnic season. I'll never forget that goddamn video about picnic season that he recorded in February, 2 days before the invasion, before the house of my parents was bombed. But now you are doing this. Wait to see what they will do. I mean, this is cannon fodder. I mean, like, this is whatever. The 12,000, if they don't have equipment, if whatever, right? But if they're there to operate long-range missiles that they brought from North Korea, situation is different. Or are they going to the front just to die? What do you mean we have to see? Strongly worded phrases. That will stop. Exactly, Paul. Yeah. Like, they're like, oh, back to Korea we go. He didn't take any questions, Keith. He said, that's all I have to say, and he left. My God, the West has forgotten what it's like to be human. Yeah, or to have balls. When was the last time sanctions were increased? Years ago? I didn't know Zelensky was responsible. He tried to downplay it. And Kamala Harris was the last one to warn him. And K has special forces there. Yeah. And then the drone targeted them or not, all of that. Certainly there's intelligence. Seoul is providing intelligence. Ukrainians are providing intelligence. To quote the right hand of Zelensky, who posted this on Twitter, my love for this guy, but he posted, North Korean troops are already in the Kursk region. This is exactly as we discussed and as South Korea confirmed. Now our allies and NATO can see it. This is an escalation. Sanctions alone are not enough. We need weapons and clear plan to prevent North Korea's expanded involvement in the war in Europe. Today, Russia brings in North Korea. Next, It could broaden their engagement, and then other autocratic regimes may see that they can get away with this and come to fight against NATO. The enemy understands strength. Our allies have this strength. Please. Why? What are we doing here? Why? The most pro-American nation in Europe. They adore you. I'm Ukrainian-born American citizen. They adore you. They admire you. Whoever you are in terms of whoever you are in terms of whoever represents USA. They loved Bush. They loved Obama. They loved whatever. Obama, tricky story. Crimea was taken away in 2014. Obama did nothing. So Ukrainians have this misunderstanding, let's put it this way, with Obama. But they will love whoever you are. They love Biden. The problem is, whatever we hear, right, $400 million in aid was again given to Ukraine again. Nothing has arrived in Ukraine as of now. Why? Because the European Union, well, all this like tanks and missiles are in Europe, right? They're not being transferred from America because we have military bases there. So it is being dispatched through Germany, Poland, and whatnot. Now, European Union, they have Hungary, they have Slovakia that is blocking everything. Those are Putin's puppets. And so they're vetoing all the movement of all this type of, help from EU, from the US. Things are not arriving. So Ukrainians are like, well, they're getting new countries in. If nothing is done, then next thing, China will march in here and then whatever. And for China, they can execute the same thing that Stalin wanted, right? Stalin had a pact with Hitler that Hitler will take over Europe, and then Stalin would, but he didn't tell Hitler, but he told everybody else. Hence, we have the history in Soviet Union that we learn, where he said, look, Hitler will take over. His guys will die, and then I will take over Hitler. And that's what China can certainly do. Help Russia take over Europe and then take over Russia. Easy peasy, call it breezy. We're waiting. What they're going to do? What are they going to do? Bad boys. What you going to do? My birth city of Kharkiv, Ukraine, looked like this. This is a very famous, it's sort of a building complex. It's called Держпром. It's a place, a unique phenomenon of world architecture among the various structures that represent the modernist architecture of the first half of the 20th century, which are already on the UNESCO World Heritage List. This was the first high skyscraper in 1928 in Europe. It's the biggest square called Freedom Square in Ukraine. It has office buildings. It also has a university. I went to that university. My parents went to this university. My parents met at that university. My mother taught at that university. My uncle taught at that university. And it's a big sort of, it's a heart of the first capital of Ukraine, Kharkiv. Russians bombed it today. Those are the classrooms. For me, it's very apt because you see the Ukrainian icon there. So that's what they did to it. Russian fascists have bombed it today, and but we're waiting with North Koreans, what they're going to do. Let's wait. Let's wait and see. Maybe they're nice. Beautiful complex, indeed. Though, to be fair, it's not like that giveaways. Field hospitals and such had been built that early, so it wasn't quite a full year of warning, but yes, it was in advance. To your point, my parents' house outside the city is near the border with Russia. We saw the troops lining up there months in advance, which prompted me to get my parents out, which, weeks, few weeks ahead. And that location was targeted first. So for that reason, if you want to know, there's always intelligence, right? CNN released a quick statement, and so did Abby, but little too late now for something like that. They let people like that on all the time. Oh, you guys are talking about somebody. Okay. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. And you know, just like looking at all of this stuff that happens everywhere, we just appreciate, you know, our life, because we go day by day, we see problems, we see this, we see that. But then if we look around, what I think the right perspective would be is to appreciate what we have and appreciate the democracy we have, that we hold the decision power in our hands, that when we show in numbers, we can affect our future, we can affect our reality. That's the main takeaway. Now, lastly, about Ukraine, Japan will provide Ukraine with over $3 billion in frozen Russian assets from the G7 loan program. They just did it. They signed it. Boom. EU signed it as well. Orban. Hungary is vetoing it. Germany and France don't want to overrule the veto, and all this stuff. Japan did their thing. Bravo. Now, the country of Georgia, if you may have heard, they had an election, and that election was stolen by Russians. It was heavily, well, what they did, certainly Georgia is very profitable for them to take over without force. Same as Moldova, same as Baltic states. You know, if you can go and take it without force, fine. They learned it on Crimea, 2014. They took it over with the referendum that was completely fake. They took it over. Why I mentioned Obama, America at that time with Obama at the top didn't do anything, so they got away with it. Now they're trying it everywhere. Now, they manipulated it with misinformation. They installed the parliament party, which is called Georgia's Dream. Again, the country Georgia, not our state, which is very pro-Russian. Oligarchs, all that story, Putin's puppets. And so this is what State Department said today about the stolen election.
The Georgian people went to the polls on Saturday in an election environment shaped by the ruling party's policies, including misuse of public resources, vote buying, and voter intimidation. This contributed to an uneven playing field and undermined public and international trust in the possibility of a fair outcome. We join calls from international and local observers for a full investigation of all reports of election-related violations and urge respect for the fundamental freedoms of expression and peaceful assembly. We encourage Georgia's governing officials to consider the relationship they want with the Euro-Atlantic community, rather than strengthening policies that are praised by authoritarians.
Otherwise, what? You're going to be upset. You will condemn. You will be upset. You have to do this. You have to do that. Exactly, Paul. More strongly worded and stern statements that will surely fix it all. Exactly. It's like Harry Potter. Yes, that's what I think is happening. Now, people in Georgia are not giving up. They're protesting as we speak. Let's hope they're not going to get beaten up. Now, meanwhile, North Korea is sending folks to fight in Ukraine, and the Russian elite is taking vacation in North Korea. Take a look. Yeah, and there are other pictures and videos how they, like, you know, the North Korean girls are all applauding and they're like passing by and they're like hee, waving and all that kind of stuff. Murderers. West is spineless. Yep. Now, talking about shit show. In Moscow, a pipe broke and an literal shit show happened. Take a look. This is shit. This is literal poop, as with a stream as high as a building. in Moscow. Nobody fixes it. Why? Everybody is at war with Ukraine. There's no man left. Everybody, who needs that? It's a shit show. And then all of that will freeze and just be, you saw the clip. Yeah. It's a big shit show stream. Very interesting. Now, UK, lastly, the UK has sanctioned several Russian government-linked entities and individuals involved in disinformation campaigns, particularly during the recent EU elections. This move, welcomed by the US, targets groups like Social Design Agency and Struktura, which have been implicated in Kremlin-backed operations that manipulate information in various countries, including a scheme that to disguise Russian disinformation as local news. They did the same thing, exactly the same two companies, did the same thing in the US, like it's like a fake Wall Street Journal article or fake USA Today article, with all the buttons functioning, and you click and you get to the real website, but the articles themselves are fake, and they are targeted, presented as a targeted ads to voters. These sanctions built on previous U.S. sanctions aimed at holding these actors accountable. Both countries emphasized the importance of a free and factual information environment for democracy. Blah, blah, blah. Now, we've heard that this Tim, what's his name? The one with the head. He quit, right? His propaganda, anti-Ukrainian propaganda channel on YouTube. So if they're finishing, that means the money is not coming through. So I guess the sanctions are working. I was about to complain about the sanctions, but I guess if they are quitting, Tim Pool, yes, Tim Pool, thank you. The one with the head. So I guess that's working. So let's see. Maybe the sanctions have a point. Indeed, yeah. Canadian. They're everywhere, yeah. So, and now let's talk, let's look for some videos for the soul before we go back to bed. Before we go to bed, not back to bed. Here's Mariah Carey, who was almost ready to defrost for Christmas, naturally, but then she was stopped because first it's voting season.
No. It's not your season yet, Mariah. What? It's voting season. Okay. Now, I need to know, have you registered?
Yes, I have registered.
Did you make a plan?
I made a plan. I executed it.
Yes! That's amazing, because it's my season before it's her season. Yeah. So now all we need is you.
Hey. Cute. Now, Doc Rivers had a different plan, but this is a nice go vote ad with second gentleman M. Hop.
All right, guys, huddle up. Let's go. Yes, this is the final stretch of the election. We have 30 seconds for one last play. All right, Coach. Doug, you're going to travel across all these swing states, right? And you're going to make sure that folks know that Kamala is going to take care of all of them, just like she takes care of her family.
Yeah.
Tony, you have to make sure everyone knows that Kamala is going to support their families. All right, Coach. Wes, you're going to make sure everyone knows that Kamala is an effective government partner.
You got it, Coach.
And all of you must head to iwillvote.com to make your plan to vote. To vote!
For Kamala!
Hands in. Kamala on 3. 1, 2, 3. Kamala!
Cute. Then in New York this week, the big Halloween parade is returning, and it always has the same dance. It's pretty epic. Take a look. Oh, that's my last story. Here we go. So if you're a Halloween lover and want to go to New York, and very last story is if Charlemagne. They did on the street. They did a competition for the best lookalike for Timothy. And in secret, he did participate in this competition, and he lost. So, as you see, it's really hilarious. As you see here, that's Timothy, actually, him with the little mustache or whatever he's wearing. Now, this guy dressed as Willy Wonka, he won. And here's a video of some other guys who participated.
Yes or no?
So anyway, he did not win the $50 award, but certainly he did participate. And the 21-year-old student Miles Mitchell, who came dressed as Willy Wonka, he won the lookalike competition. And then everybody was surprised that actually Charlemagne was there. It's pretty funny. All righty, so we're done for today. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good night. I see Daniel can't sleep. Take something to sleep. We all do that sometimes, and we can DM about it. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you for sharing. Please like it, share it, whatever we need to do to spread actual news. Also, if you don't mind sharing the YouTube link to your, let's say, Threads or Facebook or some other channels so we can grow outside the Twitter, I would very much appreciate it. And if you can join our Substack list, honest.substack.com, get your newsletters. There's free option. There's joining our Honest Club version option. If you decide to do that, I'm very grateful. And so you join our watch parties and all of that. Now, until the election, anybody can join watch parties. So go ahead, get on the list, and you'll get your RSVP for tomorrow's speech of Kamala Harris in DC. Okay, have a wonderful night. Thank you for joining, and yeah, see you tomorrow.